confidence is a skill set. You don't naturally feel confident at something before you have any evidence to feel confident at that thing.
I would never say this if I didn't mean it. You are one of the best keynote speakers out there on the circuit right now. I want to talk about confidence from that standpoint. A lot of people that listen to this podcast desire to be on stages. They desire to build brands, to get out there, to make impact, to help people on whatever stage they're speaking on.
I realized, I was like, to get comfortable with this or to get confident, I need to do it more often. And I did that. And then I did another, and then another, and then another. So I was just like, oh, okay, this is something I need to invest into, but how do you get qualified? But
welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Hello and welcome back to the Jen Gottlieb Show. Today's episode, you do not want to miss. I'm so excited about this one. Today, I sat down with Juan Bendana, who is a good friend and also one of the top keynote speakers in the world. He is traveling the country, speaking on stages 3 to 4 times a week at some of the biggest corporations like Zillow and Amazon and Lindt Chocolate and all of the biggest brands that you can think of. He comes in and speaks to their leadership team. He also has a brand new book coming out called Confidence by Choice. So today's interview, we went deep into all topics: speaking, how to get on stages, what makes a great speaker, and of course, we talked about confidence. And my favorite part of this conversation is when we dive into the fact that we all have an opportunity every single day to completely reinvent ourselves. Wait till you get to that part, you guys. It's going to totally light you up. And speaking, the Get Paid to Speak Challenge is starting so soon, August 18th. And there's a link in the show notes to sign up. It's a totally free 3-day challenge that I'm hosting all around learning how to start to get paid to be on stages and speak, which I believe right now is one of the best ways to grow your brand. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Well, I know what you're waiting for. You're going to listen to this podcast with Juan. But after you're done with that, go ahead to the show notes, click the link below, and sign up for the 3-day Get Paid to Speak Challenge. And we're going to have a lot of fun on Zoom. I'll see you there. And without further ado, Juan Bendana. Juan Bendana, welcome to the show.
thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you.
This is awesome.
Yeah, fancy,
this is
right?
awesome.
You got your sparkling water there.
I know.
We had our little clackboard. We felt like we were on a movie set.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Exactly where you belong.
Yeah, let's go.
So Juan and I, everyone that's listening, Juan and I are new friends. And Juan is one of the best, I will say this, and I don't say it lightly, and I would never say this if I didn't mean it. You are one of the best keynote speakers out there on the circuit right now.
No.
Yes, you are, Juan. So if you guys, after you're done with this, go look up Juan, go to his website, watch his speaker reel. The person that you are listening to right now is maybe like you're making your way on social media, but really you are the top dog in the corporate speaking circuit.
I wouldn't even say that remotely close, but it's funny because and people that do speeches will understand, even if you do a few a year, and you'll understand this, where almost every event or every other event, you'll have someone that'll say, that's the best speech I've ever heard in my life. And it's like, you realize that they've probably only seen 3 people and 2 of them were maybe family members. So like, it's so subjective. It is such a world where like, I feel over the past maybe 10 years, I've only gotten to a place where I'm like happy with how I do over the past like 3.
I feel like we all feel like that in some way, but I'm going to tell you that I'm not looking at it subjectively because this is kind of what I do. And so when I see somebody that's really good, I know what's good when I see it, and I look up to you in a lot of ways. And you're a fantastic storyteller. You're an amazing, you hold space in a room like no one I've ever seen. And I want to make sure that my listeners know that this is coming from me because guys, like I really pay attention to who's a good speaker, and Juan is one of the best. So, and you talk about confidence. So I'm so excited for this conversation, like selfishly, because you as a speaker, I want to talk about confidence from that standpoint. A lot of people that listen to this podcast desire to be on stages. They desire to build brands, to get out there, to make impact, to help people on whatever stage they're speaking on, whether it be podcasts, social media, or stages like what you do all the time. And you empower people in corporate situations how to be more confident in their life. But I would love to start with you and your confidence journey as a speaker. Like, take me back to your first stage ever and how you felt, how confident you were, what your level was at, and how you learned that, oh crap, like I need to build this confidence thing.
Yeah, my first stage was a restaurant for 100 70-year-olds at 7 a.m. while they ate breakfast. And I was 19 years old and I was so nervous. I remember being in the bathroom just wanting to either run out of the restaurant and not be there or go out there and speak. It was for Rotary Club. To this day, I remember it was a Wednesday. It was in Whitby, Ontario. Shout out Canada. And I remember being terrified of speaking because, one, I was the youngest in the room by probably 30 to 40 years, like a steep margin. Number two is I didn't even really have an idea of what my message was. I just didn't even know what I was going to say. And that led to surviving that presentation. I was like, okay, I made it. I did it. And then I did another and then another because I did not start remotely confident at speaking at all. I was terrified of what other people thought. I was terrified of how I would be perceived, how I'd come across, how I would sound. I hated my voice, like all of these different layers. And then I realized, I was like, to get comfortable with this or to get confident, I need to do it more often. And I did that. And then I did another and then another and then another. And then after about like 10, I was like, okay. And then after 15 and then after 20, I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of learning this thing. And oh, it's a skill set. And then I realized the broader picture of, oh, confidence is a skill set. Like you don't naturally feel confident at something before you have any evidence to feel confident at that thing. So I was just like, oh, okay, this is something I need to invest into. And I just became obsessed with speaking to groups. And I've spoken in vegan restaurants when I ate meat, like to literally the leadership of a vegan restaurant. And I've spoken in airplane hangars, in classrooms, on fields, like just of grass, like just grass. Like people were sitting like crisscross applesauce on grass, and I spoke. Like I've spoken in a garden at a park. Like everywhere. So it was just this obsession with figuring out how do you do the speaking thing, which at the end of the day is asking the question of how do you do this communication thing? And how do you do this confidence thing? And how do you do this influence thing? I just called it speaking. So that was like the inception. And then I was just more obsessed than anyone at that specific thing. I was like, I just need to figure this thing out. Like this is something I can kind of like dig my feet into and make it work. And 10 years later, I'm still, figuring it out along the way. And every single speech, I spend an hour afterward. What went well? What could I improve? What worked? What didn't? What landed? What didn't? And yeah, never really looked back since.
What was the topic that you spoke about at that very first one in front of those older people? Do you remember? Like, what did you start talking about when you went out there? You're like, I know I want to do this speaking thing. What was your topic?
Anything that people would listen to. Like I spoke on leadership and resilience and team building and navigating conflict and anti-bullying and mental health and mental wellness and community and culture, like anything. Anyone would ask, can you come speak on this? I'm like, of course. I spoke about public speaking when I was terrified about public speaking to a group at the University of Toronto. And I did a session on speaking when I was terrified of speaking. So like, I would just say yes to everything.
This is amazing because you wanted to be a speaker so bad that you were like, I know that I need to get my reps, so I will talk about absolutely anything, even if I'm not a complete expert in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wait, let's back up. So that's a recipe for imposter syndrome. I'm guessing you felt like massive imposter syndrome.
Oh, 100%.
So how do you, and because I'm thinking about the listener right now, that's like, okay, yeah, that's me. I really want to speak, but I don't know what I want to speak about, but I guess I could do what Juan's doing and speak about absolutely anything. But then I would feel like I'm an imposter. I'm not supposed to be here. Was there any kind of mental thing you would do to get yourself to take the stage? And clearly you crushed it because you kept booking stages after that.
Well, forcibly is so where I would not crush it, but then I would just find a new group that didn't know me yet. and then try there and then keep on going. But what I found was that there were so many people that had no idea what they were doing. So many people that just did it anyways and just decided to enter the arena, so to speak, and get in the game. And I was like, oh, okay, in order to not feel, because what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is feeling like you aren't the person that you say you are being in this moment. Saying that maybe I feel like an imposter speaking in front of a group of 1,000 people and teaching on this topic because I don't feel qualified. I do not feel like I am meant to do that thing. But how do you get qualified? By doing the thing enough over and over again. So I realized that in order to be qualified enough to not feel imposter syndrome, that was going to be the ticket price. That was going to be the barrier of entry. I needed to feel like an imposter. I needed to feel like people are going to figure me out, because if I don't, that means I'm not putting myself in situations to grow, and I'm not putting myself into uncomfortable situations that allow me to develop, to progress. So I think it was like, and I've realized this, that confident people in any context, it's not that they don't experience fear of judgment or rejection. It's that they just have a better relationship with it. Like they're just far better at dealing with rejection than everyone else. So they just deal with it more often. They have more run-ins with it. So it's familiar. So I realized like, oh, I got to get familiar with that. Let me do that more and more and more and more.
I want to unpack the part that you said where I realized that nobody really knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Can we talk more about that? Because I know that that's a major fear. People think that they look at social media and they're like, everyone's got it completely figured out. Everyone's got it all together. They're looking at the highlight reel of all of the finished products, the beautiful end game that everyone's showcasing. And I even slip into this. Like, I am definitely not good enough to show up because everybody's got it all figured out. Tell me more about what you discovered when you say nobody really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I think along the way, people that I looked up to, and still to this day look up to, I realized that they are just showing up with such a level of conviction that people believe them. And that there are so many moments that they don't know what they're doing or don't know what they're talking about, and they just have to figure it out and find a way. I'll give you an example. I was at an event in Texas where there was a speaker that was closing. I was opening, and the speaker that was closing was genuinely one of the top 10 people in the world in the speaking space. And I was excited to see them speak. I was excited to see their keynote. And I go into the room, and I changed my flight to be able to stick around to watch them speak. And I go into the room, and the room is about 40% full. And because people were flying out of the conference, and a lot of people didn't really stick around, and the audience wasn't very, like, they were kind and they were sort of quiet and not like super over the moon engaged. And the room had a bunch of empty chairs, and the first like 3 rows were empty, and they crushed it. And it wasn't the rooms you see on social. It wasn't the room you see with 3,000 people packed with a nice panning shot. It wasn't the standing ovation. It wasn't this amazing production. There was just a podium and 2 slides. And it's like, oh, and it was like seeing one of my, like a superhero, but like at home, not wearing the cape, just kind of like in track pants, you know? And it was cool to see they still showed up. They still did the thing. So I've realized that oftentimes what we see on social is a fraction of what people actually experience in their career, where you will see the extraordinary stage. You will see the extraordinary win. You will see even for the book deal, when we were originally shopping out the book, I remember posting on social about like getting the book deal with Penguin Random House, the largest publisher in the world, this whole thing. And then immediately after, I posted about the 29 rejections we got leading up to it and all of the emails and what they said. You know, because that's something that not a lot of people share, and that's something that everyone experiences. And it's a complete, it's a non-negotiable part of the process. It really is. And more people experience it than we think, you know?
Let's talk about rejection. I think it's a really important topic. really important. And I'm a former actress, so I was basically like a professional rejectee. I just got rejected all day, every single day. And I think that really set me up for success in my career now as an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, speaker, where I think I have now a pretty great relationship with rejection. I have a whole strategy around it. I'll tell you about it later, but I want to hear about yours, because you just said that you got rejected from how many publishers?
29.
29.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure there's stages that you don't get today and you get rejected, and you teach on confidence. So how do you stay confident when you're getting rejected again and again and again? And this, for the listener, for anything. It could be in your love life. It could be with jobs. It could be with family members and friendships and work. So talk to me about it.
Anchor to the work. Here's what I mean. Many times when we get rejected, we think it's a determination of who we are. And then we dwell on the rejection. Why did it happen? Why did it have to go this way? And we try to process something that is already set in stone, which, great, sometimes the bigger rejections in life take time, but often that is a waste of time. What we need to do, and this is the challenge, is a lot of times one rejection weighs as much as 10 compliments and 10 wins. And even if we get one win, I have had days where I booked 2 or 3 events in a day, and then I get one rejection and it erases all of the progress of the week, because that's all I think about. Why didn't they like me? Why didn't I get picked? What could I have done better? So instead, we have to commit to the work, meaning, what am I going to do with that information? Because most people get paralyzed and they freeze with rejection. They fail, so then they dwell on it. They have a tub of ice cream and say, okay, I'm going to take this weekend and I'll reset on Monday, as opposed to get the rejection email and then send 10 more immediately. Like, override switch with the work. I would always, any rejection that would come in, I would say, okay, great. I feel that. Stings a little bit. Now let's go. Okay, I get it. I failed at that. I bombed. Let's go. The amount of speeches that I have bombed, and then immediately after in the car, I'm just moving on to the next of, okay, what do I need to do better for next time? What do I need to improve? What do I need to tweak? I think too often people spend more time on trying to understand the rejection as opposed to more time trying to get a new win.
I have goosebumps. This is so good. This is a strategy that we can all do. It's very easy, and it's immediately right after the rejection. Instead of like, let it sting, fine, it hurts, but do the work to override it.
Yes.
Because you can get the motor running. Like, if you send out 10 pitches after you get that no, the chances of getting one of those 10 pitches to say yes, or to just get a response, it actually kicks up that dopamine that we're missing from the rejection that we just had.
Yeah, you're not going to process your way out of a rejection or out of a failure. You're not. Like, you have to work your way out of it. What people see, it's like, oh my gosh, you're doing 50, 60, 70 events a year. They don't understand. I'm in about 300 proposals, 200 proposals a year. So it's just a numbers game. Yeah. So if you look at it more, in a way cerebrally and say, like, I'm just going to make this a numbers game, and I understand that to get one win, I probably have to get rejected 10 times. So let me get rejected 1,000 times so I get my outcome. Because so many people just dwell on the loss and spend so much energy on it, and it's just a waste of time. It really is.
Can we go back in time? I've never asked you this question. I want to know, when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a public speaker?
No. Honestly, everything. It was, being a speaker was a part of it, because I grew up in the personal development industry. I went to my first personal development conference when I was 12 years old. My mom took me. It was in Toronto, and I was so excited. And I was like, oh, that seems cool. That seems like an awesome thing, like being an author and doing conferences. And I didn't know this whole industry existed, but that was always an option. But I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be a firefighter at one point, as kids do. I wanted to go into marketing. I wanted to go into sales. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to go into criminology. I wanted to, there's so many different things. I wanted to go into advertising. I wanted to go into, I could probably name 15 different kinds of careers that I wanted to pursue. And then after dropping out, I was like, okay, what's the thing that I'm being called to right now? Today, in this moment. And I just kind of followed where my excitement was, as opposed to making a definitive decision, because I feel like a lot of times people are like, I need to find my purpose. I'm like, your purpose changes. Your purpose today isn't going to be the same as it is in 5 years or 10 years. Like, it can change. So I think I really, from an early age, I got good at following my excitement of like, what excites me? And then doing my first speech, I was like, this is exciting because I suck at it. I'm like really not good. This is exciting because I see the growth opportunity. I can get bad and then okay and then mediocre and then all right and then good and then great. Like, I could see the path there. So I think that's what initially drew me to speaking, is that I was just excited by it and I loved it. And I could spend a lot of time obsessing about it. And I think people need to spend more time on something they obsess about, on something they can like think about I think about speaking all the time. I'll be watching a sermon and I'm like, ooh, that was a really great story. That was a good transition. Oh, I loved how he or she changed that. Oh, that was a really good callback. Like, I obsess. A flight attendant that has a really strong joke that makes the plane laugh. I'm like, ooh, that was really good. Oh, you killed everything. I see it literally everywhere. When Gabby and I were in Europe on tours, when we'd be getting a tour, you know, when you have the headphones in and you're doing the whole thing, I'm like, I can't not think about it. I'm always thinking about people speaking to groups. Like, it's just my obsession. And I think that started in having that thing that I was just excited about.
When did you know, like, this is what I'm excited about? Was it before that first speech, or was it during, after? Because I think that's just such a rare thing, like being a young kid, be like, I'm obsessed with public speaking, you know?
Yeah, I think it was before. I think it was going to, there wasn't a specific moment, but if I had to pick a specific moment, it was going to a leadership conference when I was 15 and seeing a speaker at a leadership conference talking about, you know, being your best. I forget what the message was, but it was so good. It like moved me. It didn't just have great stuff in it. Like, it made me feel, I was like, oh, I feel awesome. How do you do that? And that's where the curiosity spark. I was like, wait, what the heck is that? I feel like, and at the time I couldn't do that. I was like, there's no way I could do that yet, but that was pretty awesome. So I think that was really like a catalytic moment for me going to that conference. Yeah.
I love it. Speaking of, when you see speakers now, so you saw that guy at the end, you stayed, you waited, you wanted to watch him. What would you say makes you say, like, that was a phenomenal speaker? What makes an extraordinary, exceptional top speaker? There's a lot of people out there that want to be public speakers or think that they're public speakers, or, you know, maybe think like, that's easy, I could do that, no problem. But this is like a really challenging skill to develop. It's very hard to get very good. And I would love to hear what you think makes a great speaker. Miles
Davis, famous jazz musician, said, one of my favorite quotes of all time, "It took me 10 years to learn to play like myself." The best speakers in the world, in my opinion, are the ones that can be themselves in front of a large group. That is extremely difficult. There's a lot of speakers that I see that are great, that are like top speakers. They're just not really themselves on stage. They're good and they have a good like act, but when you talk to them afterwards, they're a little different. So if you can be yourself on stage, that's number one. Number two, they are extraordinary at telling stories. At just, you can bring me in like I'm at a Netflix special. Like I feel like I am here with you and I forgot we were at a conference. And then number three, I would say they're entertaining. You could have amazing content. You could have the most groundbreaking framework on earth. You could be super inspiring. But if you're not entertaining, I think you're missing a little bit of that. Because people want to go to conferences and events and they want to have a good time. They want to have fun. They want a story to tell people about afterward. And if you could facilitate that, if you could be the person that says, like, I'm going to create an experience here, that I think is worth its weight in gold, for sure.
So good. I think I would have said those 4 things too. I'm really thinking, I agree with every single one of them. And I coach a lot of speakers and I see a lot of speakers. And I think that the number one problem that I see is exactly what you said. People have a hard time getting on stage and not being performy. Not putting on a show, not all of a sudden sounding like a different person. I'm like talking to someone and they're totally normal and cool, and then they get on stage and suddenly they're like, and hello, and like put on a show. And that's so normal because we're nervous. And I do think that this ties into confidence.
Yes.
How do we develop the confidence to get on stage and act like the way that we would act sitting here, like having a chill conversation with a friend?
I think it's a few things. One of the things that needs to happen, I think one of the first steps is acceptance. Meaning, you need to accept that there is going to be a group of people in every room that do not like you. You need to accept that there is going to be people that think you sound strange, that don't like the way that you dress, that don't like your hair, that don't like your makeup, that don't like the story you tell, that think you're too much, that think you're not enough, that think you're too extroverted, that think you're too introverted. And they will have opinions of you. What I think holds a lot of people back from being themselves is thinking that they can please or do a good job for everyone. You can't. That's literally impossible, because there's people in every room that just don't gel with you. Like, you're not everyone's cup of tea. So if you can accept the fact that you're not everyone's cup of tea, it kind of allows you to have this like sigh of relief moment where you can say, oh, I can quit the act. I can just be a little bit more myself. I don't need to please everyone. Because when you are trying to please everyone, it ties your confidence to external validation, which makes it very easy to tear down, or it makes it sort of a call to your acting roots. It makes it feel like life is an audition. I think it's hard for people to let go of that. But if we realize 2 things, number 1, accept that there's going to be people that don't like us. And number 2, one of probably my second favorite quote of all time is Eleanor Roosevelt. You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do. People are not thinking of you as much as you think they are. People are thinking about themselves. They're thinking about their own insecurities, their own dreams, their own hopes, their own goals. So if you can get over the fact that you are not the main character in everyone's movie, you are literally an extra with barely a talking part, that can kind of free ourselves to say like, okay, I can chill. People aren't thinking of me. And there's going to be a few Karens I apologize if your name is Karen. You're probably a lovely person. But there might be a few Karens in the room that are just like, oh, I just don't like you at all. And I've had that. Like, I've had people, you should see some of the Instagram messages I've gotten over the years. 99% of them are positive and kind, and people are great, and humanity is awesome. Like, I believe in the best of people. And there is some people that have sent me messages that I literally could not put online because they would get flagged for inappropriate use of like not safe for kids. Like
about your speaking?
Gnarly messages. Just hurt people that need an outlet, that are in a ton of pain, that I feel for, and I have a ton of speaker friends that have told me the same thing, that they have gotten sometimes. Someone on a stage can be great, but they can also be a target. And I've gotten my fair share of like, wow, I'm just looking at this message like, wow, this is wild. It's just crazy. It's insane.
How do you move through that?
Honestly, like, understanding that anyone that has a negative comment towards you, anyone that tries to tear you down, anyone that tries to belittle you, is really going through it themselves. So I now approach those conversations or those moments with empathy, because I know if someone is just yelling at me, even through text, is like so angry at me, I'm like, imagine carrying that all day. That's hard. That's a tough life. I was like, I genuinely, it's like, no, it's not even sarcastic. Like, I feel for that person. That must be hard to go with that tension and that stress and holding that. Like, I feel so blessed to live a life with like a career I'm really excited about, with friends that would go to around the world for me. If I told my friends in a group chat, like, hey, I can't explain, but I need you to come to Dubai right now, they'd be like, okay, great. I'll get on the flight. Like, having those relationships and having an amazing marriage and having a great dog and amazing family, like, and having my health, being able to, like, I just feel for someone that has to carry that. So I remind myself in those moments when someone, isn't necessarily kind, that they're going through it. And maybe they don't need someone to lash back at them. Maybe they need someone to be like, hey, I'm super sorry you feel that way, but I appreciate you letting me know, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Do you respond to those people?
I will. I'll send them a response. If it's something that is like very far off the rails, which I've, especially working with students early on in my career, very far off the rails, I won't even engage, because especially if it's something where I'm like, I'm not going to escalate that, because that could get like dangerous. But sometimes if it's something where they're just like blowing up at me, I will send them a voice note back. I mean, hey, Alex, hey, Ryan, hey, Lisa, hey, like countless times. Thanks so much for the message. I'm sorry you feel that way. And I will do my best to send the voice note with a smile on my face. And I'm like, I'm super sorry you feel that way. I just want to say I appreciate you letting me know, because often it's like feedback of how could you X, Y, Z. I'm sorry you feel that way. I appreciate the feedback. I'm wishing you a lovely weekend. Happy Friday.
So one of the questions I get asked the most is, people, I talk about being seen, putting yourself out there, having the confidence to share the video, get on the stage, do the podcast. And people ask me all the time, what do you do when there's haters, trolls, mean people on the internet? I don't want to show up because I don't want to get the negative hate. So this was very, very helpful. It was helpful for me. I think it was helpful for people listening too. What if you just sent them a voice note like that? You're just sorry. I'm so sorry you feel that way. They can't say anything back. And if they do, okay, like you were kind and responded in a kind way.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the rejection. Just move right on.
Yeah.
Move right on.
You realize that the people that will put the negative comment or be a troll, they want to feel important. They want to feel significant. Like you feel sorry for that, and you don't engage with them because you want a reaction out of them. You just give them love. Give them love. That's it.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
Let's talk about your book. I want to talk about this because, first, your book is about confidence. It's all about confidence, you guys. So good. When did you start making your keynotes about confidence? Like, why did you choose that topic? And then when did the book start to become a thing? When were you like, I want to write a book about this?
Yeah, it was a few years ago where I realized that the missing piece and the step before leadership and resilience and change and all of these things I was talking about, the step before that was confidence. The confidence to lead, the confidence to deal with change, the confidence to invest in yourself, the confidence to grow, the confidence to build resilience. And I realized, I was like, I think this is it. I was like, I think this is the thing. And I basically, long and the short of it is I put this model together called the confidence cycle that I thought was the answer, a system, a flywheel that is a repeatable system that people like me that weren't born with confidence could develop it in any area. And I was like, I think this is it. And basically I put that into a proposal shopped it out to different publishers. And after, the 29 rejections, we signed a deal with Penguin. And that was kind of this confirmation that this is what you should probably go all in on. So I just started, I scrapped everything and I went all in on talking about confidence, because it is the missing X factor. It is the skill set. It is the thing that people need to be able to build better relationships, to grow in their career, to raise their hand, to be a part of the conversation, to start the business, to sign up for the marathon. And all the step before all of those things is having the confidence to do it. So that was really the nucleus. And then I just dropped everything and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is going to be it.
And then you built a whole new keynote and went out with this new keynote. And can you tell us a little bit about this cycle?
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
In a nutshell, it really is centered around the 2 steps before the strategy we know today for building confidence, which is take action leads to confidence. The more confident you'll feel, the more action you'll take. So there's, in the research, there's something called the confidence competent loop, which is the more competent or the more skill set you build at something. So the more action you take at it, the more confident you'll feel. The more confident you'll feel, the more likely you are to invest more time into that skill, right? That's what we know. But the challenge with that is that there's 2 things that hold people back from building the skill. Number 1 is a lack of energy, and number 2 is a lack of courage. I'm too tired to go for it. I find that so many people don't go for another level because they're too tired at this one. And then I'm afraid of what people think. I'm afraid of the rejection. I'm afraid of the failure. I'm afraid of what if it doesn't work out? What if I fall short? What if I waste my time? What if I waste my money? What if it doesn't work? So I realized, there's actually 2 steps before you get to action that are required to start the process of building confidence, which is generate energy and develop courage in that order. So it's basically a flywheel where the first step is energy is sort of the spark that starts the cycle, that starts the process of building confidence. Because, for example, like the hardest part of a run is tying your shoes. The hardest part of anything is the start. So that's where a lot of people get tripped up. And then people wait for these inflection points of energy throughout a year. Popular one, January 1st. People say new year, new me. They're pumped. They buy the Lulus. They sign up for the gym because this year is going to be different. And then that inspiration tends to fade, and 75% of people fall off by February because they didn't have the energy for it. They ran out of gas and they didn't realize that they needed to invest energy in as the spark. Once you have enough energy, it facilitates your ability for courage, which oftentimes people think courage and confidence is the same thing. It's not. Courage is your ability to put yourself into the moment of fear, uncertainty, discomfort. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe this isn't going to work. It's the willingness to make the decision. Then that leads to the 3rd step, which is action, which is once you have enough of that courage to say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to start the YouTube channel. I'm going to send 10 emails. I'm going to sign up for the marathon. I'm going to start the nonprofit. Then you take the step. You take the action step, which then once you've taken action, it allows you to build this process, not only like the flywheel of it, but it also leads to a shift in identity. Like you see yourself as someone different. It leads to proof. It leads to, I made this thing happen. I did that. So since I did that, I guess I could do this. And then it's a flywheel where if we can keep on pouring more energy and we get more courageous, we take more action, we give ourselves more proof, it's a nonstop cycle that if we tap into in any context or any area, it can lead us to sort of this compounding effect of confidence where most people try and go straight to action, and that prevents them from even getting in the game in the first place because A, they're too tired, and B, they don't have the courage for it.
So good. I've never heard the energy part of it. That's a part that I think most people, or I've never heard it, it's missing. And I think that is absolutely accurate. A lot of people are just too tired to keep going. And they're just throw their hands up. They're like, I'm just going to go watch a Netflix show because I just don't have it in me to do this. I think that is so smart to put that as the prerequisite, is you have to generate the energy. Now, my question for you is what happens when you've lost confidence. So let's say you're having this beautiful flywheel and like you're confident, you're crushing it in your career, and then all of a sudden you do something that screws it up. You fail, you make a mistake, you make a wrong decision, and it's a big one, and it's bad, and you have lost your confidence within yourself and your ability to do that thing well. How do you build that back up?
Well, I think most people have 3 different frames when they think of experience. Number 1 is a past frame of everything that has happened in the past up until this point. The second is a present frame. Like, what's going on right now? How do I feel right now in this moment? What's happening? What are the results I'm getting today? Then there's a future frame. And we flow between those 3 frames in terms of how we see not only the world, but ourselves and the perception we have of our lives. I think when someone fails or someone gets rejected or someone falls short, oftentimes they flow exclusively into the frame of what has happened in the past, as opposed to focusing on where we are now, like where our feet are, the present frame, and then the future frame, where do we want to go instead? Where do we want to go next? So I think for most people, what they need to do is change the frame. They need to float from the past into the present where your feet are, and then have a vision of the future that could excite you again. Because it's so easy to get defeated by something that has happened 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a week ago, a couple hours ago. It's so easy to feel that defeat and then stay there, as opposed to, okay, I failed, this didn't work out, I fell short, it sucked, I bombed, whatever it may be. So what am I gonna do with that information? How am I gonna move that to the present frame to use that today? And then how am I moving forward differently? Because if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, that's just insanity. Like, how are you going to change your approach to the goal based on the context of what you have just experienced, of what you've just gone through? So I think if people could just change that frame and stop living in the past, because like the past, you know, I forget who said this, but the past doesn't equal the future unless you live there.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, the past only equals the future if you live there. And a lot of people live in what has happened a month ago. And they're living their life today based on a past that has already set in stone, that has happened 6 months ago or a year ago. And they wonder why they're just spinning in circles and not really going anywhere. So I think changing the frame is what would help people, you know, move to a completely different context of their own growth and ultimately their own confidence.
So good. I love it. Kind of leads to, well, what? So you didn't name your book The Confidence Cycle.
No.
Talk to me about how you came up with the title of your book, because I think the title is very powerful.
Yeah. Confident by Choice is the title. And a little backstory, the working title used to be The Confidence Cycle, but we changed it mid-publication, which happens often.
Mine changed as well.
Yeah, so once you sort of write out and get sort of the structure of the book, you realize that sometimes an appropriate title sort of emerges. And we went with Confident by Choice because we realized in every area of the book and every step of the cycle, there is a willingness. There needs to be a willingness to decide to generate energy, to decide to practice courage, to decide to take action, to decide to invest in the course, even if your bank account statement shows that you probably shouldn't, to decide to ask the girl or guy out on a date, even if it feels like they're going to say no. Like, everything is rooted in a decision. Confidence is rooted in the decisions that you make. So we wanted the title to be something that was actionable and something that was rooted in the ethos of the book, which was confidence is a choice. It is literally a decision. It is not made for the select few that feel more confident than others. It is a choice that is accessible to anyone in any context at any time, but it does take a little bit of work.
Takes work.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say for someone that's like, all right, I have this speaking engagement coming up. I've never spoken in front of a group before, and I do not feel confident. Is there anything that I could do on that day before I go on stage to make me feel a little bit more confident?
Leading up to it, prepare like a psycho. Be more prepared than you think. Be so prepared in in your lead up to the event that you are just the most prepared and qualified person in that room. The second thing is treat the presentation itself like a game 7. Like, make it that important, be that invested, be that committed. I find that a mistake I see presenters often make, or speakers often make, is that they're casual because they think that means they're being real. So they are just like so casual and they're like, oh yeah, hey everyone, what's up? What's going on? Like, you're there to deliver. You're there to show up, to perform. And yes, it's weird. It's kind of counterintuitive where it's like, wait, I thought I was supposed to be authentic, but you want me to perform? It's like, I kind of call it authentic professionalism. It's like being authentic, be real, but also be professional, where you are there to perform. Like, you are there to deliver. So an over preparation, like prepare more than you think. And then on the day, treat it like the weight that it deserves. Like, treat it like a game 7. Treat it like this is the most important thing you're ever going to do. Because maybe it's one event you do a year, but for them, it's their one conference they do every year. It's their baby. So treat it like that.
That is so good. We can all go home now. Like, you can turn it off now. Like, this is it. Like, that was amazing. Just that little pep talk. We're going to clip that. That is a gorgeous reminder. I do that often. I'm like, this is the Super Bowl. I use it as like, this is the Super Bowl. Like, here we go. We're going. And even like during my acting career, when I was doing 10 shows a week, was really interesting. It was very, very similar, because I would get really sick of doing the same show 10 times a week and the same song and the same thing. But I would have to remind myself, like, it didn't even have to. This would happen automatically. I would get to the new theater and I would feel like, I'm just gonna be honest, like, oh God, like this. Like, I don't need to prepare. I've done this 10 times. I can do it in my sleep. Like, I've done it, hundreds of times by that time. And the second that the curtain came up and I saw the people in the audience, and it clicked that this was the very first time that they were seeing this show, and they went and bought a ticket and they were excited, and it was their night out and it was their moment to see it, I immediately was like, I have to do this for them. And that feeling I want to have every time I walk onto a stage. So when students or speakers that I work with say to me like, oh, I don't want to be nervous. I want my nerves to go away. I'm like, you want to be nervous. Yeah. Bring on that energy. Just use it for you, because it makes you excited and it will make you perform at that level that you need to. Would you agree?
100%. Like, feel the weight of the moment. Feel the weight of the moment. Steph Curry, when he's going out for game 6, game 7, and he understands it's on him to drop 20 or 30 in a game, maybe he's not nervous. He's prepared. He shoots 500 shots a day every single day in preparation, but he feels the pressure of the moment. He feels the weight of the moment. And then you can actually use that as momentum. You see a lot of professional athletes in a game 7 moment or a game 6 moment where it's like a clinching for the series. You see them turn on. They wouldn't necessarily do that in a gym with no one watching. They use the pressure and they call it getting hot. You know, they get hot because the fans erupt, they drain another 3, they hit it. It's like crazy. So I think you need to feel the weight of the moment, especially with a conference. I always think when I'm backstage or leading up to it or doing sound check, I think about all of the reasons why I should be nervous and all of the pressure. I'm like, they've spent $2 million on this event. This happens once a year. They have one opening speaker. These are CEOs from all around the US that are coming together for this moment. There is no do-overs. Like, and you feed off that. You know, Doc Rivers, the coach of the former coach of the Boston Celtics, had this idea that he shared with his team called Ubuntu, which is an African philosophy that means I am because we are. I'm only as good as I can be if you are as good as you can be. And he shared it with his team. And this was when, like, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, like some of the best players in the league, he had a bunch of number 1 players, but they all weren't really gelling well together. And he knew to win a championship, he needed them to all work together. And leading that team, what he said in countless interviews and leading up to the finals where they ultimately won the championship, is that pressure is a privilege. He's like, I love the pressure. He's like, because, you know, news commentators would say and sports journalists would say, don't you feel the pressure? Don't you feel nervous, like having all of these, like, big personalities and star players on one team. He's like, pressure is a privilege. So I always feel that way with like the more pressure. I'm like, great, let's go. This is awesome. Pressure is a privilege. I've chosen this career. I've chosen this work. So if you are someone that is choosing a high stakes environment, don't be surprised when the nerves come and when the pressure comes. It's game 7. It's the Super Bowl. Let's go.
I'm so 100%. Fired up right now.
Yeah.
Y'all, if you're not fired up, I'm going to listen to this like on repeat before I speak. Seriously, you are a motivational speaker.
Yes, try to be.
Thank you.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life one small step at a time.
I want you to talk more. Tell everybody about the book. Tell them why you wrote it and how they can get it and what you would like them to get out of it. Like, what is in it for them?
Yeah, it really was written with the goal of wanting to give the advice that I wish I'd gotten years ago in a way that would lay out a repeatable system and a formula that is accessible and applicable to everyone and anyone, where it's like for the person that feels like they have no confidence or the person that feels very confident that wants to get to that next level. So the book was really written for them. And I will never forget having my teacher, Miss H, my English teacher, tell me, writing is a gift you're born with and you just weren't. And you can't even communicate well. Communication is a gift and you probably shouldn't pursue a career in it. And I remember those words. She may have said it offhanded and just casually, but I held on to those for the better part of a decade. And one of the reasons why I wrote the book is also to show people and to share with people that your weaknesses are potential strengths that just need some investment. The weaknesses that you have in your life, the things that you feel are not your gifts, are potential gifts around the corner if you give them the opportunity to be. So that was also a big driver for the book. Not to like, a lot of people say like, oh, you showed her. It's like, it's not even about that. It's more so about the idea that like, oh, I was someone that consistently failed English class and all of my classes that I took. Every single class I took, I got 50s, 60s, 30s. I didn't get into any colleges or any universities that I applied to because my grades were horrible. And now fast forward the 10 years of investment, people see now, it's like, we literally last week got the news that Harvard was featuring the book. And I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't even get into any college whatsoever. And now Harvard is like doing a feature on the book, which is just ridiculous. But it goes to show the point that you are today, like where you are right now is not fixed. Who you are right now is not fixed. That person is changing. Is it changing in a direction that you want it to, or is it changing in a direction that you don't want it to? If it's not, turn it around. Decide to be the new person. That was, I would say, one of the main reasons as to why this project was so important, is to let people know, like, you can be a new person. You can decide to be a new version of yourself. And like, we are 6 months away from a completely different version of us. And I think that's a really exciting thought. Like, you are 6 months away. You're a year away from a completely new version of yourself. If you've never ran a marathon, you're like a year away from that. If you've never started a business, you're a year away from that. You're 6 months away from that. If you want to build your brand, like, you're 6 months away from a viral hit. And it's something that I wish more people understood, because I run into so many people that I meet that tell me, I want to do this thing. I have this career I want to pursue. I have this business I want to start. I have this nonprofit I want to get off the ground. I have this relationship I want to invest into, but I'm going to do it next year. But I'm going to do it in 6 months. But I'm going to do it when it's the right time. But I'm going to do it once the kids are out of the house. And I really want to say, for everyone listening or watching, is that there is never going to be the right time. There's never going to be the right time to do something. Like the best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago. The second best time is today. So what are you doing now? Like not what's on the vision board, not what do you want your life to look like in 10 years, not because I think those audacious goals are awesome, but oftentimes it can excuse us from taking action today by setting goals into the future and saying, yeah, that's what I'm going to do one day, but it doesn't make it immediate. And my hope for people is for things to be more immediate. Like, what are you doing this week to move towards that dream? What are you doing this month? What are you doing today?
Right now.
What are you doing this afternoon? Like, you've been listening to this for 37 minutes. What are you doing? Like right after this is done? Are you on a run right now? Are you in the car? Are you watching this on a lunch break? Are you maybe procrastinating because you were gonna do something, but you're like, oh, maybe let me throw on this podcast with Jen and then I will do that thing. Like where your feet are right now. So I hope people come away with this renewed sense of not only energy, but also like a system to say, oh, I know how to produce confidence in any category of my life. I just need to apply this and go.
It's truly empowering. I love the title, like by choice.
Yeah.
It's a decision. We can choose. We can choose right now in this very moment. You that are listening right now, you can make a choice. It is so wild. I love it so much. Like I'm vibing so much with you because I agree, because I've experienced it, that we can make a choice in this very moment to transform the person that we are. We can always reinvent. We always go to bed at night and wake up the next day and can decide to be different. And when you have books like this and you have people like Juan who are living, breathing examples of it, and I will only have people like you on my podcast because and I'll explain this, there are a lot of people out there on the internet that say a lot of stuff and don't actually do them. You know, and fine, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody other than the fact that that's just what they do. And there are many people that are one person behind the camera and one person in front of the camera.
Yep.
And I really hold on to the people in my life that I meet, and that's why we're such good friends, when I know it's like, oh, this guy talks on stage and speaks and inspires, but everything that he talks about is something that he actually does in his life every day. So he's a living, breathing example of what's possible. And you're a living, breathing example of what's possible for me. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, to be a living, breathing example of what's possible for everyone that's listening.
You know what's funny? When people say that there was a moment that changed everything for me. You know when you hear that?
Yeah.
And you hear it in amazing stories. You hear it from the Oprah Winfreys of the world and the Bezos of the world. Like there was a moment that changed everything. What's, I think, exciting is that moment can be now. Like you can decide to have that moment today or next week, but many people wait for catastrophe to happen. They wait for January 1st. They wait for a milestone. They wait for a 30th birthday. They wait for a child to be born or a kid to get out of the house. They wait for this moment where it's like, you could have that moment that changes everything. Like you could design that moment. And I think to, all the people that are listening that are like, well, Jen has it all together. Juan, like they never have an off day. Like the amount of times I have had a moment where I doubt everything about my life and my career and I should quit everything and stop and this sucks and this is the worst and I am not made for it and and just doom spiral is insane, is crazy. I have that all the time, but there's something that I think is, I don't know if you've heard of this, called the fresh start theory.
No, tell me.
You heard of this? The fresh start theory is essentially that we as people have this desire for these fresh starts. We have this inclination to feel this like new sense of energy in a fresh start, like beginning of a year, a new birthday, where it feels like a clean slate. But the thing is, we wait for those moments to be presented to us as opposed to manufacturing them ourselves. So I think we should be really good at creating fresh starts, which a lot of people do through 30-day challenges. A popular one, 75 hard, which I know we've talked about before. Like doing those challenges, what is that? It's just a fresh start. It's just saying like, I'm gonna make a series of new decisions whether it's 2 workouts a day, 10 pages of a book, no cheat meals, like whatever your fresh start is, just don't wait for a moment in the future for the stars to align for it to happen. Like, don't wait for every circumstance to be perfect. Decide to literally align the stars yourself. Like, I just don't have the right people in my life. Find them. Find the right people. DM them. Message them. Reach out to them. Like, we got connected because I'm pretty sure we were talking back and forth on Instagram, and I was like, hey, Jen, I'm in Florida now. I moved here. We should meet up. Mm-hmm. Like, it was an olive branch. Like, how many times are you doing that in your life? How many olive branches are you putting out there in the world? How many people are you reaching out to that have or that are on the path that you would like to be on? And that's just the game. Like, have the fresh start moment for yourself, and then align yourself with the stars and the people that can make that really happen.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
I've been playing with this thing. I think that the reason that people don't do that, well, we all know that it's the fear factor, right?
Yep.
It's the 4-letter F word, right?
100%.
Like they're sitting here and they're listening and they're like, okay, I could reach out to someone today. I could do that. And they're like, oh, well, but what if I get rejected? What if they don't answer? What if I'm going to go clean out a drawer, right? It's like that process. Like,
yes.
And then I'll wait till tomorrow. And I've been doing this thing in the morning. This is very recent for me. And I think ChatGPT told me to do it. Sometimes I ask ChatGPT to like be my life coach, and
Our
I'm like,
ultimate guide.
yes, here's what I'm struggling with. Tell me what I could do better. And somewhere in there, it said, do one brave thing. And I was like, well, what if I just did one brave thing every day? What if every morning I just woke up and I was like, what's the brave thing I'm going to do today? And it can't just be something like I'm going to work out, because that's something that I do all the time.
What are some examples?
It can't be an Instagram live, because I do that all the time. A brave thing would be like, okay, here's a perfect example. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So I have been terrified to do this for years now. I have had this idea that I'm like, whenever I travel to go to a speaking engagement, I'm going to do a book event in that city so that I can connect with people that have read my book at that city, that maybe heard me speak, that want to come and meet me, because I can build community that way. I can meet people. But every time I went to do it, I would say, but no one's going to show up. What if I don't know anybody in Colorado? I don't think any of my fans are or fans, followers, whatever, in this city or that city.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the energy, right, to do that. And I don't want my team to have to do it and then 5 people come. So fear, bullshit, talking myself out of it.
Justifications, which sound really attractive.
Oh, yes, they all did.
And they flirt with you.
Oh,
100%.
So, oh my gosh, I'm like, yes, of course, Jen, you're so right. I shouldn't do that. That's a waste of time.
Oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
So reasonable. You can't rent out pay to rent out a space and 5 people are going to come. Waste of money, waste of time. You can't get the books there in time. All the excuses, okay? So I've been like a couple of years now. And so I've been doing this one brave thing, and I was like, you know what? F it. My one brave thing is I am going to set a date for the book event in Miami.
Come on.
Get the place. And I just did it like what you were just talking about. I hit up I actually went on Instagram. I was like, who has a venue in Miami? I'm doing this on August 9th. And I had the date, and I have the Eventbrite thing written out, and I have everything, and I have all these people offering me venues. It's fabulous. It's done deal. And I said, I don't even know what this event is going to be. I don't know how many people are going to show up. It could be me and 3 people. It could be me and nobody. But I need to do this to prove to myself that I can, because once I do it once, confidence by choice, then I can go and do it again, because I'm going to know how to do it, and I'm going to prove to myself that I can get over my bullshit and have a book event.
That's awesome.
So that was one thing that I did, my one brave thing.
It's August 9th?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be there.
Vaughn will be there.
I'll be there. I will be there.
I have now one person.
Now you have one person.
Now I have one person. At least it'll be a hangout with me and you.
Come on. We can just do another pod.
If no one shows up, it'll be great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So there you go. That's an example.
Amazing.
I'm obsessed with our conversation. I could talk to you all day, but I want people to go get your book. So I don't want you to just buy one book. My rule is you buy 2. So if you hear of a book that you love, the rule is, it's a rule, you get one for yourself and one for a friend.
I love that.
And it's just a way to read with somebody, to give somebody the gift of like a beautiful book like this that can help so many people. So Juan, can you please tell everyone what you would like them to do, how they can get the book, all the things?
Yeah, everywhere where you buy books, August 5th is when it comes out live. And I wish I'd brought one today. I completely forgot. I got the first physical copies today, and I opened the box, and the box is in my living room, and I forgot to bring. But
it's a great story, though.
August 5th, everywhere, Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Million Books, like all of those. And yeah, it's like if you want something that is going to be just a spark of energy in your life in a moment where you feel like you need it. And honestly, that's a part of why I wrote it. And even reading it back, I'm like, damn, this was something I needed as a reminder to say like, oh, I can do this again. I can re-engage with the goals that I have. I know I'm so close to giving up in so many things. And a lot of people listening right now, you may be so close to giving up. And that's something I think about a lot with people in the audience and people listening or watching here. It's something I think about a lot, that whether I'm backstage or right before, there's a lot of people in this room or listening to this that are about to give up. And that like genuinely breaks my heart. Whether it's on a relationship or a goal, and they're just like, no, it's not for me, or a career pivot, or a habit. And we never truly understand how long something will take for us to do. And I just see so many people give up right before it was going to work. And people now, they're like, oh my gosh, you're doing 60, 70 events a year with Fortune 100 companies, and you're speaking at American Express and Zillow and Remax and AT&T and all of these. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, the first 3 years of my career, I was under the poverty line. The first 3 years of my career, I did 1,750 Canadian, which is like $35 US, by the way. Second year, under the poverty line. Third year, under the poverty line. For most people, that voice in your head would say, hey, by the way, you probably should stop. This isn't really reasonable. Just like that voice in your head, that will give us really great reasons as to why we should stop. I got all of it. And then from family and friends, they're like, I don't know if this is working. Sweetie, I think you should try something else. And I just think so many people are right on the edge of giving up. And if this book can be a reminder to not, it's done its job. So anywhere where you can buy books, it's live August 5th. I know it will be in a few rolled out to bookstores, around the US, but online sort of everywhere. We signed 3 international book deals, so it will be live in Japan and Korea and Slovakia.
Amazing. All right.
Randomly. So yeah, and I'm pumped if you do pick up a copy. I'm genuinely eternally grateful. Send me a message on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you like to hang out the most. I would love to hear what you think. I'd love to see a selfie of the book, all that sort of stuff. And yeah.
Well, thank you, Juan. This was so special, so much fun. I really loved this one. So thanks for being here.
This is my favorite podcast interview. Let the record show. It's my favorite podcast interview I've ever done. Folks, this was just awesome. It was great. And we were talking before off camera that, podcasting is an art form and it is a skill set. And you have that not only ability to like ask great questions, but you're also really good at listening and like taking things in and then using what you hear to inform the next. Like you're not listening with the intention to just respond or just to move on to the next question. You're listening with the intention to like actually understand. And like, I feel like that's rare at times, but it was awesome. This was great. This was cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's such a compliment coming from you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for watching, listening to Jen Gottlieb Show. Follow Juan Bendana on Instagram and all the places. Get the book. So grateful for you. See you next time.